So I'm John Goodhue, the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Green High Performance Computing Center and friend of the MOC, maybe. Ron and Nancy and company had asked Jon Stumpf and I to talk about governance, and you can judge whether we actually did that after the end of the talk. I was struck maybe by two slides that have been recurring kind of in this conference. One of them is, I think Wayne called it I get to the right place, yeah. Kind of what we've built, right? There's this stack of services that are production services, you know, MGHPCC, NESI, NERC, all playing together now. And then there's this ecosystem of people building new and adventuresome and crazy things, sometimes on top of that infrastructure, sometimes independently, with this intention to bring the good stuff into the production world. And then both a robust research community and a robust education and workforce community using the production services and maybe getting some visibility into the research. It's a big and interesting and complicated soup. Another kind of view into this, whoops. Oh man, there was another great slide, but you don't get to see it. But I can describe it, right? This circle that's starting to work, right? Of production services, fueling innovation, fueling industry engagement, and that feeding back into production services. It's a really compelling picture. It can sometimes be confusing about how to engage. And I think that's really where John and I converged, is not so much how do we govern, but how do we make it easy for new people in particular to engage with the MOC Alliance. It occurred to us that there are kind of three different stages of engagement. There's the, how do I sign up, right? So if I'm at BU, maybe it's relatively more obvious to figure out how I sign up. If I'm at Framingham State College, maybe not so much. How do I pay? I think that's been the subject of any number of presentations today. And then what happens after I sign up, right? And you'll hear, I'll disagree with Nancy a little bit, some of the presentations in this session will elaborate on kinds of engagements after you've signed up. You know, the research visitation, support and systems research, classroom use, and maybe some other things. I'm realizing that the beauty of Google Docs is there's always like 8 versions of the presentation, so when I did the updates on the presentation, I did the wrong version. But these are kind of different ways to engage, different stages of engagement. And then kind of on the other side of the ledger, we have tools that make it easy. I think for a long time, engaging with the MOC or the MOC Alliance, though your way in was you knew somebody, right? You knew Ron, you knew Milson, you knew Michael, or maybe you knew Mike Zink, and he was connected. And there was an easy way in once you knew the right person. As the MOC Alliance grows up and scales, it feels like they've done a wonderful job of introducing kind of tools and methods that make it more simpler to do the easy things. So if you go to the MOC Alliance website starting yesterday, it's an entirely new picture. That's an interesting roadmap towards or showing the kinds of things that are now available just by going to the website and following the process, as opposed to knowing somebody and doing something ad hoc. So it's not so much governments, but it's certainly kind of a growing up and scaling of how the MOC Alliance works. And I chickened out a little bit. I was going to try to navigate the website live, but I'll just do this picture. You'll see now there's a collection of things that are up and real. You can learn about who we are, and then with respect to services, what we do, and each one allows you to drill down. How support works. Milson and Company have developed an extensive user guide, so again, you don't need to know somebody, you can actually go read the manual. And a whole section on how costs and billing work. We've talked about questions about how money flows and so forth, but over the past year or so, the MOC Alliance has put together a really coherent way of how you how you compensate the Alliance for the value that they deliver. I will stop there. That's kind of a little view, I think, of where we have come, which is a really long way, and hand it off to Jon, there he is, to talk about questions about where we go next.
Thanks, John. So what I'm looking to do in our session, in our breakout session, is talk about the partner engagement. I'm interested in understanding, your experiences with the MOC Alliance. So the NERC has a fairly robust way of engagement. I'd like to apply that across all of MOC. And this is not only for researchers who want to come, but also for providers who want to bring their technologies and various capabilities to the MOC Alliance and expose them to the robust research community that we have. So what I'm trying to do is get us to become more efficient, where it's not word of mouth, it's not who you know. It's a more formal way of engaging and a more reliable way of engaging. I want to make sure that requests are satisfied on a timely basis. I want to know that any requests that can't be satisfied now, that someone's paying attention to that and seeing, are there ways that we can extend what MOC can do to address your needs? So what I'm asking for in our discussion is, one, feedback on your interactions to date, how you think they could improve, and ways that you would prefer to engage with us. Is documentation the better way, and just tell me how to do it and I'll figure it out, I'll read myself, or is there other ways that you would like to communicate? So, with John Goodhue's context of, how we've engaged in the past, I'm looking towards the future of how we might do this better and in a more formal way. And that's it. So please join us later today. Thanks.